Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ivan Rodrigues, your host and MC for the day, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to the Economic Times Architecture and Design Best Brands 2020-2021, brought to you by ET Unwired. According to a report by New World Wealth, India will have 950,000 millionaires by 2027, an increase by almost 190% from 330,000 last year. Due to this high demand of luxury housing, hospitality, and products, developers, architects, and interior designers are constantly looking to work with niche solution providers in architecture and design, not just in India, but also from around the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting 3 hours in store for you today, culminating finally in the unveiling of the Economic Times Architecture and Design Best Brands of 2020-2021 coffee table book and the felicitation of the brand winners across 5 different categories in the architecture and design space. I am looking forward to this, and I'm sure you're doing too. For details on the program for the day, please click on the agenda button. Also, do join the conversation on Twitter and other social media platforms using the hashtag ETAND. I repeat, hashtag ETA for Australia, N for Nancy, D for Delhi. Let's get this hashtag trending. And before you leave for the day, kindly click on the feedback button and leave your comments and valuable feedback. It will not take more than a couple of minutes. Your feedback is important to us, and this will ensure that our events are just the way you want it the next time around. Do stay tuned in. We will be back on the other side with the welcome address by Karan Karai from ETH.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Economic Times Architecture and Design Best Brands 2020, a virtual gathering where we'll be closely scrutinizing brand excellence across sectors. 2020 has been a year that turned several norms on its head, and it forced us to reevaluate everything we once knew. But this is nothing alien to humankind, and this won't be the first time in history that cities and buildings, or even our lives, have been reimagined or upended or redesigned in response to an increased threat and an increased understanding of disease. Consider, for example, Haussmann's renovation of 1800s Paris, or London's reconfigured infrastructure in the wake of the city's 1954 cholera epidemic, or 19th century New York's reaction to the squalid conditions of tenement housing. But while the particular lessons of COVID 19 are still very much TBD, a few ideas have already taken root. While some of these changes will die along with the virus or the availability of a vaccine, some behavioral changes by force of habit will keep continuing to reshape how each one of us looks at life spaces and indeed everything beyond it as well. Interesting too are the innovations wrought by brands, many of whom had to respond rapidly to a situation that ballooned to epochal proportions over the course of the year. The altering of the life spaces we interact with, right from workplaces to educational institutions to airports, from the hospitality and the travel industry to even government led infrastructure products. And why just that? Even residential and commercial real estate. All of this will lead to a reimagining of life spaces from a physical, from a digital perspective. Who knew that from such change could spring exciting innovations and new paths that were previously unforeseen? Rethinking, re strategizing, and rebooting in the aftermath of this unforeseen global pandemic will require decisive steps to stay ahead of the curve. And the brands that we recognize today epitomize this ethos of excellence. All of the brands that take center stage today offer solutions that enrich our lives in a post pandemic, highly connected, low touch world. I congratulate each and every one of the brands that have blazed this trail of excellence and hope all of you find the discussions that we have lined up for you to be richly rewarding. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you for being here with us, albeit virtually.
Thank you, Karan, for your welcome address and for setting a wonderful backdrop for this virtual event. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege now to welcome and introduce Dikshu C. Kukreja, Managing Principal, CP Kukreja Architects, for the keynote address titled The Changing Dynamics of Designer Products and Its Impact on Luxury Properties. Mr. Kukreja, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here today to discuss something which is really very, very interesting. And if I may also mention that it's really a very debatable subject, a subject which draws different emotions and different reactions. And I'm here talking about luxury. I believe that luxury is a relative term. And for those who believe it's a phenomena of contemporary times that we've got swayed these days with the notion of luxury, I would like to show you today that luxury has really existed from the beginning of civilization. While some might wish to condemn it, I believe measured, tasteful luxury has great aspirational value and allows us to push our limits, achieve higher goals, and reach out for greater stuff, which can be even in terms of products or, for that matter, even our buildings. So let me share some images with you today and start with a presentation to just give you an idea of how luxury pervades every part of our lifestyle and how it then influences us. So if we could just have the presentation on. So changing dynamics of designer products and actually their impact on luxury properties. Let's start with really time. Like I said, luxury is a relative term and luxury has existed from as long as one can remember the beginning of civilization. So time is the most valuable thing a man can spend, as has been quoted before. The concept of time is a constant entity, but the instruments of viewing it have evolved with changing dynamics and also the changing definition of luxury. Luxury in itself is a subjective term, one that reflects the likes and yearnings of the population of a particular time. So if we look at these images of how time was measured or time was seen from over 5 centuries ago, that's how they looked at it. And again, moving across time, if we see different notions, how time has been mapped, how time has been viewed, and the products that have been created to represent time. This chronology that we see of even design of watches, this is a watch which is, close to, oh, it's over 100 crores, just a piece of timekeeper or something that depicts time. So look at the evolution in terms of just the fact how time, if we were to chart a timeline of luxury for these same objects, one can gauge the evolution that has happened. What if we move to the idea of travel and see how travel and the concept of luxury has evolved and got modified from time to time? This is an image where one sees it's about 3,400 years ago, before the Iron Age or on the rise of the ancient Greek, that people on the Solomon Islands left ashore and they left their white sandy beaches for the Charilian seas of the South Pacific. Their adventures brought humanity to the most remote areas of Oceania, whether it was the Fiji Islands, Hawaii, etc. This, at that point, was a luxury in terms of the mode of travel. And in recent times, this has also emerged as a luxurious mode of travel. where you have cruise ships like the one you see here, which has this particular one belongs to the MSC company, but it has over 19 levels and has 2,000 rooms. So you have a total population of over 10,000 people floating on this mode of travel. So compared to the image here, when people found this a luxurious mode of travel, and fast forward and see what modes of travel today exist even on the seas, and this is how travel has emerged. So luxury of one time, today the luxury of another time shows us something else. On road, we have many examples and a constantly evolving definition of luxury. This particular company's origins, as we know it today as Mercedes-Benz, popularly, but the company's origins come from Daimler Motoren, which in 1901 joined hands with Carl Benz, company of Benz patent, which is widely regarded as the first internal combustible engine that was produced in a self-propelled automobile. So at that point, this was the most luxurious way that one could conceive of traveling. Fast forward, and today we have objects or products like this, what you see here, which is an Aston Martin, which is priced at over 25 crores. So just again, a mode of transport on the road and how it has evolved in terms of the definition of luxury. Getting on track in terms of rails, we look at how the model of the steam locomotive at that time when it was created a couple of hundred years ago was considered path-breaking in terms of luxury, that you could actually move from one destination to another on land and in such a smooth manner. Today, in fact, earlier this year, I'm sorry, in the month of July, in Japan, this train, this futuristic looking train, which is very much today, has evolved and become a mode of transport between Tokyo and Osaka, the famous Shinkansen train. This is the latest model. So here we see how luxury has again evolved. And again, over time, if one sees even in the rail segment, how luxury, it's not been confined to just the track and a linear object, but it has metamorphosed into really great living spaces. This is another image of the Orient Express, which has functioned as a private luxury train, which used to serve from London to Venice, and the kind of experience it gives another level of luxury. Here are more examples of how trains have been remodeled and created into a really luxurious mode of transport contemporary to their time. And if we start looking at, the luxury which came when we actually lifted ourselves from land and were able to evolve a mode of transport which was by air, that in itself was a major transformation and a major element of luxury when it was seen that, we could now actually fly in the air. So here is an example of the the aircraft created by the Wright brothers, and how that had moved on. An image, believe it or not, of still the interiors of an aircraft. You can see how the families are sitting together, the kind of luggage space, all of it, which today might look unbelievable, and we can draw different kind of conclusions from it, whether it's claustrophobic or whether but it's just the freedom of flying on air, and you can see a child sitting on the lap there. So it's literally like, a mode of transport which is on ground, but in this case had the luxury of taking flight. And then you have the luxury today, whether it's passenger travel or whether it's our defense forces. These are the kind of objects that we have been able to create as luxurious objects which fly in the air. And of course, luxury travel in air has gone through different transformations. Businessmen have business jets in which they can literally travel at their own free will, at their own time, and have the luxuries of office, dining, or even living while they are flying. Something which is more basic and has been a very intrinsic part of our lives has been eating and what we eat. Even this, matching with its time, has different ways of looking at it in terms of luxury. So, if we go back a few millennia, I would say this was even a luxury where the Neanderthals actually, for them, getting a hunting and getting a piece of meat was considered luxury in terms of food. And then food has evolved different ways. This, in a way, is just a demonstration of vegetarian, or what the vegetarian platter offers to us. But moving on, we have been able to define luxury in terms of seafood or any other kind of cuisine or food that has evolved across the globe. And this is just an image to show how we have started treating food as a luxury, as an element of design. And today, the 21st century, we have gone further to have another element of luxury come into our food, where we are looking at nitrogen infused cooking. So it never stops. And the concept of luxury, so what we go back and see might look rather inane today and might not be looking to us as a means of luxury here or certainly here. But at those particular times, it has been luxury. So the point I'm trying to make is that luxury is a very, very relative term, and it has always been a definition which is synonymous to its particular time. Moving on, let's look at the ways of adornment, because they, in a sense, qualify and define luxury to another parameter. So is that also something that is more in times with our contemporary world, or has that also existed over the years? So here is an image of an adornment, not a couple of centuries ago, but 4,500 years ago. This is the kind of luxury or adornment humans craved for and actually carried out also. Let's fast forward to just a few centuries ago, and here is Elizabeth I, the Queen of England, and the kind of luxury or adornment that you see is self-explanatory. The same thing happens even in the ways of dressing. So this is not something which is confined to only one particular gender, but as you see here, King Louis XVI, the emperor of or monarch of France, how the adornment in terms of fashion works here, and how that has also been changing over time. This is Empress Elizabeth of Austria, who has her hair adorned with large diamond solitaires. And of course, an iconic image of Audrey Hepburn, and how fashion, luxury, this is the famous Chanel dress, and this image went on to become iconic representation of fashion at its time. We can see how fashion again has evolved in terms of luxury, and an image today of how fashion embracing times of today, where we talk about sustainability, nature, environment, and still this is, of course, again, a creation of Chanel, the same designer who created Audrey Hepburn's dress. So how, with the times, the definition of luxury changes. Last but not the least, I would now like to move from the way we live, eat, or wear to really our lifestyle in terms of architecture. So when this structure was built for in the Mayan civilization, it was an ordinary home, but it was still a luxury, because from moving under the shade of trees to actually being able to live in this structure was not something everyone could actually afford and live in. So these were houses which were built for a select few. And then there were also, if we look back in time, the Mesopotamians, and this is an image of the elite homes, which you see in terms of scale, size, and planning, how they spread across and are a source of luxury. Inside those large buildings, this is the kind of interiors and spaces that were created, which certainly I would say even today qualify in the world of luxury. More contemporary luxury has moved to proportions like this, where again, a single family owns this kind of a home and is defined with luxury, with swimming pool and the works that come along with a magnificent estate. More such images of how the concept of luxury keeps evolving. And this image here is actually considered as one of the most expensive homes which is on sale, which is belonging to again a celebrity. But you can see that its setting and its architecture might be timeless, but the concept of luxury is still there. And this kind of a home is in the market for over 200 crores. These are the interiors of the same home. And then closer home, if we see, there are our own sort of expressions in contemporary times of the kind of luxury that certain society, or I would say certain people, believe that they need to demonstrate or they need to show in terms of or express. Let me now conclude, and if but I just want to conclude by saying that, in my personal opinion, I maintain that while luxury is not an evil outcome of a capitalist, obsessive world, there are some products, or shall I say projects, which really defy logic and are inexplicable, like the image on your screen. We tend to, and that is why luxury gets sometimes, can we end the slide presentation, please? So as you see in the images, luxury has evolved over time. Luxury's definition has evolved over time, but it is something which is one thing which has remained a constant is our desire to be synonymous to luxury, our desire or aspiration to reach for the products or things we can possess which fall in the realm of luxury. So it can at times be considered to have negative connotations, and it can be considered that it is an expression of the capitalist world. But I would just say that while there would be some examples which demonstrate that kind of an obsession, but really looking at luxury at the broader level, it is not something we should completely discount or dismiss, because in my opinion, tasteful luxury, as I define it, is something that should always be part and parcel of our lives, because it's an aspirational value which strives us to achieve greater heights, to achieve more. And it's something that we eventually make it as part of our pleasurable living. So it's about tasteful luxury, which is the key. And if that can be defined well and we can try to achieve that, I think it just gives a better standard of living. So thank you very much. I've really enjoyed sharing with you this wider diaspora of what I believe is the world of luxury and its evolution over time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diksha Kukreja, for that fantastic presentation as a part of your keynote address. It was a visual delight. And like you said at the outset, it might seem controversial when we talk about luxury properties and designer products, but I think you summed it up beautifully by stating that tasteful luxury should be a part of our lives. Thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule and participating with us at this event, and we wish you and CP Kukureja Architects the very best going forward.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and
Pleasure
gentlemen,
to be here.
do stay tuned in. We will be back on the other side with the first panel discussion of the day.
As our lives become ever more restless, maybe it's time to ask ourselves, which moments in life are the most beautiful? At Hands Grow, we believe it's the moments with water. Because water is the essential to us in 1,000 ways every single day. We share it from our very first moments. At special times when we're together with our families and friends. With the ones we love. Or the times when we are simply by ourselves. That's why we do everything we can to make your moments with water as unique and precious as possible. Hands Grow. Meet the beauty of water.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we move on to our first panel discussion of the day, titled Design Talk, Form, Function, and Comfort. And we have a power-packed panel with us today, so without further ado, let me welcome and introduce the members of the panel first. Gaurav Malhotra, Managing Director, Hansgrohe, India. Kalyani Chawla, Fashion Entrepreneur, Raison Luxury Silverware. Kohelika Kohli, CEO and Creative Director, K2 India. Pavitra Sri Prakash, Chief Designer and Director, Shilpa Architects. And Rishad Kirgamwala, Director of Developments, Maya Estates. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This session will be moderated by Deben Moza, Executive Director, Head of Project Management Services, Knight Frank. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for this panel, please click on the Ask a Question button and kindly put your question in the question box. Time permitting, we will definitely take a few questions. With that, Deben, I hand over the floor to you.
Thank you, Ivan. Thanks for the introductions. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Arts and crafts visionary William Morris said, "Have nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful." Later, the founding father of organic architecture and big fan of Morris, Frank Lloyd Wright, expanded this idea, popularizing the now familiar mantra, form follows function. To this day, modern home design reflect Wright's hallmark of ordered elegance. Why is modern home design so well suited to deliver high performance efficiencies and superior design? Modern homes are devoid of trends, gimmicks, or unnecessary ornamentation. Simplicity of design elevates quality over quantity. When design serves a purpose, in addition of being aesthetically beautiful, it stands the test of time. In modern home building, this purpose-driven design begins with considering the homeowner's lifestyle and is rooted in the whole house systems philosophy. From air and heating systems that works with the seasons to how inhabitants transition from one room to another, nothing is left to chance. The home becomes a holistic ecosystem designed for ease and comfort. From a functional perspective, efficiency is explored through use of high-performance construction innovations. Building techniques and building materials designed to minimize resource consumption and lighten environment impact are prioritized. Nowhere else better showcases the value of modern design than kitchens and bathrooms. Less ornamentation, uninterrupted surfaces, and linear shapes achieve a spa-like serenity in the modern bath. A modern kitchen is designed to maintain a look of orderliness and spaciousness. Clean lines and minimalistic approach means that these spaces are easier to clean and easier to navigate. Ample storage and appliances are arranged to be of the most utility. These spaces are more intuitive to our contemporary lifestyle. Firstly, I'm privileged to be moderating this panel on form, function, and comfort. I'm sure with the wealth of experience of all the panelists, we'll have an interesting discussion and some great takeaways for the audience. I will kick off the discussion asking the questions that draw out some high-level themes, ideas we should be thinking about for almost 40 minutes. And then I'll open the chat box for 5 minutes for Q&A. I'll be also looking at the chat box during the panel discussion, and if I find that there are relevant questions, I'll ask those relevant questions to the panelists. Sounds good. So let's get started with the panel discussion. So again, I'm quoting Frank Lloyd Wright, form follows function. This has been misunderstood. Form and function should be one, joined in spiritual union. So my first question is to Kalyani. In your view, what should take precedence, form, function, or comfort?
Thank you. I just feel that they all have to, especially anything to do with your home or your personal space. I think all three are so important. You get attracted by a design, which is the form, you know. Functionality is absolutely necessary, obviously. You know, you're buying it for a purpose. You're buying an object which looks beautiful but also has a certain function. Comfort, where I'm in silverware, so I just feel, I think it's more about aesthetics, as you mentioned earlier, and you need to be, I suppose, comfortable with that object which you look at every day. You know, it could be a painting, it could be the bathroom fittings, or it could be a beautiful centerpiece which you wake up to when you go have your tea in your living room or whatever. So I think they all kind of merge together because these are things that you're living with, and these are things that you have to love. It creates your environment, it creates that the pulse of your daily life, and I think they're all very, very important. They all they have to merge into each other. Everything has to have all three factors, I think. Is very, very necessary.
Thanks. So let's move to an architect. Koilika, your views about the form, function, or comfort?
So, I mean, in many ways, I absolutely agree with Kalyani. I think all three have to coexist. You quoted Frank Lloyd Wright, who I'm a big fan of, obviously being an architect and having studied in America. And he put it quite correctly. You know, there has to be this perfect union between form and function. Today, we see, since the late 90s, we've seen the works of Frank Lloyd Wright, we've seen the works of Zaha Hadid. In fact, Zaha Hadid completed her only home called Capitol Hill, which was in Russia, and it's the middle of this forest. And believe it or not, it rises above the trees, and that's where the main house sits. And the idea is so that it has this entire space. I honestly believe, when we talk about people like Frank Lloyd Wright and we talk about people like Frank Gehry, who are two extremes actually, and Zaha, who are complete extremes in terms of what they put out there in terms of their design, I think there is room for both. As an architect and a designer and a carpenter, I find when I make furniture as well, sometimes form does take the importance, because like Kalyani said, I think that first instant reaction is the look of the item, right? And then you start relating back to how is this going to function and is it going to meet the function I require? So there has to be this beautiful coexistence. You talked about modern homes, and you're absolutely right. I think modern homes and timeless homes do not need to be trend-based. They do not need to be highly ornamented. I think people are realizing more and more that spaces are becoming part of their personality and part of their environment, especially given the circumstances of COVID right now.
Right.
I learned a beautiful word yesterday called landscape composition. And I think that's something that I want to think about in my work as well, whereas things, whether it's form, function, and comfort, there's a fluidity between the three when you design.
Great. Gaurav, coming to you. Hans Grohe, how do you look at your products? Do you look at the aesthetics part, the functional part, or the comfort part? What is the vision? What is Hans Grohe, looking at? Sorry, I'm been prompted that I have to be closer to audio. So how does Hans Grohe approach its products?
First of all, a quick warm welcome to all the fellow panelists, and thanks to TOI also for taking this initiative with us. Coming back to your question, it was actually very interesting to hear the other two panelists speak first, because I think the answer that there has to be a balance between all of that is very clear. But it's also interesting how you look at it from a, let's say, a product manufacturer perspective versus, let's say, an architect perspective.
Yeah.
Because from our side, we study the consumer first. So for us, it's very important to understand the objective, or let's say the need. And that is where we look at the functionality. But then it is our partnership with, international designers across the globe that ensure that you have the right form as well for it. So it's interesting that, different people look at it from a perspective of capturing all the three things, whether it's comfort, whether it's, form or function, but might approach it in a different route. Now, it is, of course, our global designers that also enable us to have these kind of, timeless designs and emphasis on the form side. So whether it is balancing technology and integrating it into a product that also aids functionality and provides, a lot of comfort to the end consumer, it's about integrating all the three things. But our approach to it is slightly different.
So there's a question from the audience. I'm just bringing that, and it is to Kalyani. I think you'll be the right person to answer that. Why do consumers value product design?
Beg your pardon? Why do consumers
value product design?
As I said earlier, I feel that when you walk into a store and you're looking at whether it's a tea set or a centerpiece or a dining set, etc., what are you attracted to? You're first attracted to a design. That's your first. That's the first thing that you are looking for. There's something that pleases your eyes. That whole. It's always the design first. And I think for a consumer, as Gaurav mentioned, being a product designer, I'm only thinking about my consumers, and it has to go across. Like, I have a really, really a varied product line, possibly everything that you can think of for your home, literally. And I am thinking of not just a type of consumer, but really, India is it's just so vast, and there is, even though mine is really a luxury product, honestly, but today, especially in these times, you have to think of a larger audience, and so I'm constantly only thinking of the consumer only. What will someone looking for a dining set and the variation of those forms of, it could be a thali, but from the most traditional to something super modern to something in between. So it's always the design, because that's what the consumer will walk in to a store, to a boutique, and they'll go to what attracts them. It's a gravitation towards a form and a design. It's the most important thing.
So there is that belief, or there is that thought. People relate a designer product to luxury only. Do you agree to that?
Yes, it's. We are all we are all aspirational, no matter what strata of society one comes to. We're all aspirational, honestly, and you have to give that sense of luxury. And it doesn't matter. My product line actually starts. I mean, I do a lot of silver plating also, for gifting, especially for like weddings, etc., which is a big part of my business. It starts from 3,500 rupees, but it doesn't look 3,500 rupees. It has that sense of luxury. It has that sense of a beautiful design, and that I am very, very, I mean, my company is only 3.5 years old, and I think I've made a mark in the market only because of this, because of the fact that I am giving a little bit of luxury to no matter what price range it may be at. I mean, I start at 3,500, of course, goes up, but it's, I think, very, very important. Again, combining a sense of luxury, the branding itself, because I mean, Raison definitely is a brand today, and so you're giving a little mix of everything to your client, and no matter what price range it's at. And I think that is key as far as catering to an audience which is so varied, especially in this market, because you just don't know who's coming from where asking for what, and you have to be prepared for that. And yeah, it's very important, I feel.
Thanks so much. My next question is for Pavitra. There is more to the success of a product than how it looks, that's form, and how it works, that's function. There's also the more sensitive aspect of how people feel about product, that's emotional or comfort. Based on the appearance, use, history, and both personal and cultural associations. While form, function, and emotion can be equally important in a design, do you consider emotional connect with your clients while designing? Pavitra.
Thanks for that question, Devin, and it's really nice to be on this panel. I thank everyone for having me here. I love this question because I think that as an architect, very often we get asked to design something that's truly custom. And we're working with one customer. It's not necessarily that we're working with a large audience. I mean, obviously depends on the scale of the project, but sometimes, most of the times when we're talking about designing a home, it's one customer. And bringing about a little element of emotional connect, which your client values, is totally important. And this could absolutely vary from each from one individual client to another. So I wanted to talk about two examples from my own personal sort of, I guess, history of what I've worked on in terms of projects where this was applied and it kind of formed the centerpiece around which the entire design was worked. One was in the case where we were working with a very prominent musician, and it was a home that was being done for them. And the idea was to be able to showcase her particular instrument, which was the veena, and try and bring about elements that could make her feel, I mean, as she was getting to a point in time where she was not actively playing the veena anymore, but looking at how we could like still keep her emotionally connected, as well as have elements around the house that would bring about that pride when someone new walks in to sort of talk about this particular thing. So it wound up being a little art installation which was inspired by the kind of work that craftsmen put on top of the veena for its own ornamentation. So bringing in that little element, I think, brought in a whole sense of not only just like happiness and sort of joy and seeing this being part of the house on a scale which is just not necessarily as blatant as, say, the instrument itself lying in a corner, but really making it a part of the home in a way in which was it was not necessarily traditional or usual.
So you give a personal touch to it, right?
Absolutely. And I think also there's a certain success that comes in from making a connection between two not so obvious things. Like, for example, in this case, taking the artwork that's on a veena and applying it on a partition in the room, which kind of, takes it in a scale and a way in which it's not necessarily always done. So I think that's where the creativity sort of came in. Second project was something which I worked on for a club for Mahindra, which is a massive new development, which is almost 3,500 acres. Mahindra was coming up with several different strata of housing, large master plans. And the idea was to create a recreational club, which really was, and this was the brief that was given to us, was like, we have to design the soul of the city. And designing the soul of a 3,500 acre city is something that was quite a responsibility, because this is the place where we would have people of all categories kind of coming in, right from the lowest, most budget homeowners to people that were owning individual villas, to also multinational companies, directors that would come here at the end of their work day because they had their workspace over here. And really working with that concept of trying to create something that had soul. And I think given that was our brief, we really went out of the way to try and make the design, speak and resonate, to be a space which felt fun and airy, connected to nature, had a lot of elements that made people feel very comfortable in coming here. And we've got like great feedback that, that we did it, and you kind of hit the nail on the head with the brief, and it kind of worked. So, I think architecture is unique in that sense. It has the ability to evoke that emotional connect to anyone that went into the space. And I think that is something that we try and incorporate in all our design work, given that we sort of start by studying the history of how Indian temples had a certain emotional connect when people walked in. And, a newer example of modern architecture where, Daniel Libeskind has people emotionally connect to the building, which is like the Jewish memorial in the Holocaust memorial in Berlin. Like, the way you feel within these buildings obviously evoke a certain emotional connect once you walk in. And that's really what I think we try to do in our architectural practice.
Thanks. Let me move to another architect now. Koilika, how do you make emotional connect with your clients?
Specializing in homes, I think it's very, very important to understand what the client is all about. And every client, of course, is different. And homes are so personal because you spend so much time in them. And I think architecture, objects, so that means product design, and the environment that you design in, all are at the end of the day emotive. They can make you feel peaceful, they can make you feel tired, they can make you feel happy, they can make you feel sad. And this even goes out to the Hans Grohe products, by the way. I use them extensively, and they are just so beautifully designed. And then when you use them, it's even more fantastic, especially their showers, by the way. So I highly recommend them. But I think the key is to understand the sort of client you're dealing with, and then to design around that, to design around what is it that they really want at the end of the day. And I think that is what, and all well-designed spaces will definitely be emotive in their design.
Nice. Rishad, as a developer, how do you make that connect? Because many times you would build first and then you'll get clients. And many times you'll have the clients who would come up with their requirements. So how do you deal with that?
So firstly, Devin and everybody on the panel, thank you so much for having me on here today. So, I completely agree with everyone's answer here. I think that, when we really start designing a product, it begins with the emotional connect. When we offer our brief to our architects and to our consultants, it really starts off with a mood board that really tells them the story of what we want to sell while we have the people coming to our doors. Because for us really to get that disruptive pricing, unless we have that connect with each of our clients, we don't find it possible to really get them to buy into the philosophy of what we're designing and what we're selling. So I think emotional connect is really the foundation of every product where we begin, because every space is unique and every place has something to offer. So unless we actually hit the nail on the head to get those emotions out there when the client walks through the door, every sense, every smell, everything that they experience while they walk through those spaces it has to resonate with them with something that's part of their life. And because we sell to a wide variety of people, unless we can have that with each of our customers, we're not able to fulfill something that we want to give to them. So I think it's really important for us that emotional connect is there with our design. And even our current project, 27 Summit, which is located in the heart of Bangalore City, we have these beautiful rain trees on the property. And when anybody comes there, the first thing they associate that property with is the old world charm of Bangalore. And for us, we've really tied in the story of our product positioning with that nostalgic value. So when they leave that residence, of course, they're going away with experiencing a beautiful space. Of course, they're going away with liking the product and really enjoying the design that we've showcased over there, and taking away all the beautiful amenities and everything else the product has to offer. But the most important thing that they walk away when they experience that space is the emotional connect to making sure that we're going to give them an environment that connects them back to old world Bangalore. So I think,
sorry, go ahead, please.
So I think that emotional connect is definitely one of the backbones of being able to sell good real estate.
So there's a question from audience. How innovations are changing the dynamics of luxury real estate?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
How innovations are changing the dynamics of luxury real estate?
So I think the way innovations are changing the dynamics of luxury real estate is beginning with the product offering. I think with luxury real estate now, and looking at the behavioral patterns of the customers coming to the space, everybody's demands are very, very different and dynamic. So I think innovations need to be able to cater to everybody's demands. I think, speaking of the panels we have here, Hans Grohe, they're able to provide us products that can cater to a wide variety of needs, right? And I think those innovations, when we're able to showcase it, we're able to provide everybody what they really want in their desires.
So coming to Gaurav, tell us about how Hans Grohe is different from others in terms of innovation. How do you approach a design of a certain product, or when you're launching a new product, how do you approach that? You are on mute, Gaurav.
I guess that's why we should always keep it on unmute, but thank you for prompting me. For us, design is actually not a question of taste. I think it's a philosophy. The highest quality design, as per us, it requires creative minds that look beyond the boundaries of the sanitation industry. I mean, look at the people over here. It's not specifically for product designers. It's actually our large variety of international tie-ups that we have that look beyond it as a bathroom product. They actually bring on board the consumer nuances across the globe. It's very important that these designers challenge us also as product manufacturers from their point of view, which is more of an outside point of view. They have a lot of avant-garde creations and ways of thinking. They often make us go to the limits of what is possible. In fact, one of the very beautiful designs lines that we use for Axor, which is our luxury brand, is that we work on it till it is not possible to work any longer. So the product has to be absolutely, avant-garde and perfect. So only this way is it possible to kind of continuously produce innovations that set trends in the industry. And sometimes, we see a lot of current requirements that kind of change time to time, but we need to have designs that come in that are able to last forever, or largely called as timeless designs. So all these things we kind of put into mind. The designers that we tie up with are Philippe Starck, Antonio Citterio, Jean-Marie Massaud, Patricia Urquiola, the Phoenix Group, Barbara and Oscar. Now, these people are not just industrial designers. They are people who have a much larger gambit of design around them, or largely within the design fraternity. So they incorporate their knowledge largely from other industries with product development from our side. And this is how the colorful mix kind of provides the impulses from a wide variety of cultures as well as consumer needs. So this is our approach towards this.
Is it fair to say that Hans Grohe is like Apple of bathroom fittings?
Well, I'm very, very proud to say that, in the IIF rankings, Hans Grohe was ranked above Apple, but I think I admire Apple as a brand as well. So let's just say we all have our, strengths. And as far as the world of design is concerned in bathroom faucets, I think we are right up there.
Great, thanks so much. Now, my next question is to Pavitra, or let me go to the product designer. I'll go to Kalyani first. How do you balance the style and need of every segment, be it luxury, upscale, and budget? You spoke about creating products which are cost you 3,500, and then the sky's the limit. So how do you balance that when you're designing a product?
As I mentioned earlier, I think my priority really is the consumer. And having, I've been in the luxury market for such a long time, with Dior, I learned about the nuances of what it takes to um, uh, to satisfy a luxury clientele. But at the same time, in India things are so different. Even though I am a luxury brand selling silverware, I'm a silver company, which is definitely not cheap. The prices have skyrocketed recently, as we all know. But I just feel that we have to have, well, not everybody, but some, you should walk into the store and find something for yourself. If you do walk into Raison, you should find something for yourself. If you're looking for a gift, you will find something for yourself. And that's really what my priority is. So there has to be a balance. Now, I don't have something for, price wise, I'm talking about, so something for less than, say, 3,500 rupees, I'll be honest. But at the same time, I think you will walk into a store and you will want to spend that 1,000 rupees more, because you're going to get something which looks actually 10,000 rupees, especially for gifting. And I think that's my balance, really. And that happens all the time, I'm very proud to say, because people don't mind then. And there's obviously a certain kind of clientele who walks in. And listen, we all have a budget today. Everybody does, especially the times right now. And I am, being a silver company, I have started doing a lot more plated. And I know it's not the core business, but I have to, because a centerpiece, for example, that you might want, but in silver, the it's just, the price difference is too vast. So you have to also, as a retail company, you also have to make those changes to adapt, one, to the times, two, to the kind of you want to sell what you want to sell, whether it's the design. You don't want to compromise on design, you don't want to compromise on quality, for sure. But I guess price is where you have to kind of balance things out. And I think that is really the key today to success, because that you have to sell. There's no point having beautiful things in your store if you're not going to sell anything, because you're you know no one has that kind of budget, for example. So you have to compromise and you have to be clever. In terms of my product design right now, because honestly, people, I mean, it's a silver company and people come there looking for silver. But I've had to be super clever. So this particular season, the last Diwali, I normally have about 200 products every season, right? That's a lot, but I do. And this time I probably had about 75, 80. So I had to be really clever about my design. So I was very inspired this time by the Bauhaus, design, which is very minimalistic, because I think that's also the mood. And so they were very simple lines, very, very straight lines. And I had to be super, super conscious about the consumption of silver. So I played around a lot, which I use is semi-precious stones like, rose quartz and turquoise and lapis lazuli, etc. So I made those forms in a very clever manner with, the as much less consumption of silver, but having a beautiful design and playing around with the forms of the stones. So, well, it has been quite successful. And because people, again, are looking at something which is beautiful. And there's we Indians are very, very generous, especially in Delhi. Everyone's gifting all the time. And then you're looking for something beautiful. You're looking for that silver gift, but there's always a budget, especially now. So I think all these factors have to be kind of balanced out very cleverly. And I'm sure being an architect, they're doing the same thing, or, bathroom fittings, everything. It's just you have to have a range, and you have to have, a consumer walking and saying, okay, we will definitely find something there. And I think that's it.
Yeah, so I'll replace your word with, because there was an audience question, it's how innovations are changing the dynamics of luxury real estate. So I'll replace the word clever with innovations. That's what you're doing.
Yes, I was just clever.
Nice. I'll pass the same question to Pavitra. How do you balance, luxury upscale budget with your clients?
Well, I think for us, what tends to happen is the basics and the bare bones that go into any architectural project. There's very little that we can sort of differentiate when it comes to, say, civil cost or like the cost of foundation. So these are all kind of fixed costs, irrespective of whether you are playing in the luxury, mid-range, or budget segment. That cost is sunk. It doesn't matter. It's going to go towards that rate per square foot, irrespective. Where we really start seeing a little bit more flexibility is, I guess, when it comes to finishing and what we have. And it becomes very clear right from our first meetings with the clients, where we're placing our product or our final end apartment or home or whatever it is. And then the kit of parts sort of varies. Like my material palette expands or contracts based on what they can afford or the purse that is going to be available to us. But where I think we have tried to be a little bit more, I would say, sensitive is that, I guess, Shilpa Architects itself comes with a background of doing a lot of work that's highly sustainable. So whatever we try to do is efficient. So when it comes to even the kind of things that go beneath the surface, things that you don't see, which are essentially your structure, we try to bring in a certain amount of efficiency and innovation in the way we kind of approach the project or the thing. So like, even for example, how many columns you have or how much reinforcement is in there, all these things can then start affecting the cost right from the beginning. So as long as we're efficient there, we sort of leave the rest up to where the client nudges us, that then defines that kit of parts, which then become open to us as designers to then, start putting into the place to make it work as a kind of a cohesive product.
You spoke about sustainability. So there was a question from audiences. Is sustainable luxury the new face of urban living?
I think there's always been this thought that sustainable is not necessarily luxurious. It feels like always people have assumed that these are on the other end of the spectrum, because to be sustainable or to be green means, like using jute or not really like, carrying something that's well finished or, it's very earthy. But there is definitely a trend towards sustainable luxury. And I think that it's coming in every way, because like for example, the Hans Grohe products, just the flow rates and how much water they use is automatically tended towards a sustainability side, because that's just the smart thing to go. Because at the end of the day, our resources are limited. We can't say, we need endless resources for something to function well. So to be able to work with a sustainability mandate is, I think, going to become the next, the new normal going forth. So definitely something for us to keep in mind.
Coming to you, Rishad, in terms of, you will have various kinds of clients coming to you. Somebody who wants to spend more money, somebody who wants to budget home. So how do you manage, to build the apartments or residences for various segments of people who come to you?
Yeah, I think like Kalyani mentioned in the first question that you asked, I think everybody has aspires to get the maximum out of any space and what they're looking to purchase. And what we endeavor to do is that we endeavor to fulfill that across all asset classes. And I think for us, we try to maintain certain design principles that we established at the early days of our business in 2016, that regardless of the product segment, we try and maintain those principles. The certain aspiration that we're giving to each of our customers remains the same. I think, just drawing a parallel to what we have when we're discussing our positioning of our products in many of our brainstorming sessions in the organization, I think we always draw a parallel to like a company like Mercedes, right? When you buy a Mercedes, whether you buy the A class, the C class, or the E class, or the S class, you're expecting a certain standard. You're expecting certain things not to be compromised on. And I think that's our approach to when we're designing and building for products against various asset classes, whether it be luxury, upscale, or budget. We try to make sure that we provide certain standards that we don't drop across all asset classes.
Thanks. Okay, I've been reminded that we've got 8 minutes left. So quickly moving to Gaurav. What are the technology advancements in terms of multi-utility of design and space that Hans Grohe comes up with? Can you elaborate on this trend, please?
Sure, and I think this is a very important trend now because you can no longer look at any one thing and kind of not integrate it again with all of them. So, Hans Grohe has always brought about a wealth of sophisticated innovations, technology, and design concepts to the market. This is done largely by constantly evaluating the consumer's needs and benefits and focusing on optimizing their value. Now, the value has to be optimized both aesthetically as well as functionally. And let me give you some examples. We have actually lately launched a product called as the Rainfinity, and we have different versions in it. One of them is the shoulder shower. Now, while of course the ultimate aim is to have an excellent shower, but there are many times where you would not want to wet your hair. So this is a product which is positioned for that need. At the same time, it allows you, it's got a shelf space, it allows you to put your shower accessories on it. Similar examples could be things like our shower tablets, which are thermostats basically in their function, but they double up as, elegant glass surfaces. You can put shampoo bottles on it. We also have a beautiful rain select module, which it's a single product, but it acts as a thermostat, water control element, and also a shower holder. So the key is to integrate your technology, which is ultimately what meets the consumer's core need, but also into a sort of functionality that enables the consumer to use it for, let's say, their utilities. And that's how we go about it normally.
Thanks. Koelika, how do you adapt to integrate new technology into traditional design format process?
See, I think technology is obviously the biggest thing that technology is giving us, that it's allowing us to move faster, right? And when we talk about just architecture and design, especially during these times, I don't think how we would have managed designing without, 3D views and walkthroughs, which is all enabled because of the use of technology. But I think technology also has its role in everything. As a carpenter who deals and makes handmade furniture products, technology helps to a certain extent, but I think we all as designers and users have to find a balance where we should let technology into our lives and where we should not. But I truly believe that, I'm a little technically challenged. So, it's something that we've all had to kind of adjust with in the last couple of months and kind of, adapt. So it's been a huge process in that. But we basically use it. I'm a true believer that, technology will not give, at least when we are designing it, I can't showcase my final product with it. I can get you 95% there. And so we use it, we use it to our advantage where we feel we really need it.
Okay, so I have been reminded that we got 4 minutes left. So my last question is to all panelists. How has COVID impacted design development in the new normal? Since you are on screen, Koilika, I'll start with you. Quick 30-second, views on this.
Well, we're just figuring out smarter ways of working out of home. And like I said, using a lot of technology and personally adapting to the use of technology. So,
Gaurav?
I think the word for me would be touch free. I mean, more from a product perspective, touch less, actually. I think a lot of new innovations that we have are largely without contact. So maybe more digital. That's the word for me.
Rishad?
I think for me, it's adapting to new behavioral patterns of how we are going about our everyday. So we finding our spaces needing now home offices. We're finding our spaces needing breakout areas to be larger. So for us, it's really adapting to that change.
Great. Pavitra?
Mine is a little bit of a mix of what Rishabh just said, in the sense of having larger spaces to design, different densities that we design for, and also sort of starting to pay attention of a little bit more on how people are moving through spaces, the areas that they are coming in contact with, and how we can make those feel less, for lack of a better word, icky. But really just making it more easy for people to move through spaces, minimizing their doorknobs, touch surfaces, and also paying attention to the quality of the surfaces and what we put in there for a material.
Thanks. And I started with Kalyani, so I'm ending with Kalyani now. How has COVID changed your design thinking?
Yes, actually, the working system at Raison, I have realized, because mine is completely a handmade product. You just make a product out of a flat sheet of metal. I mean, it fascinates me every day when I go to the factory. So I have learned that I was totally panic stricken because of the workforce going so much lower than what I started off with, because of the COVID. A lot of people went back to the villages, didn't come back, etc., etc. But we are, I think, managing pretty well. And I hate that term less is more, because for me more is more, and maybe this is the way it should be. But no, it's just that I think we are managing with much less, and in spite of which, doing pretty all right. And this is just, I think, been a very conscious decision from now onwards, a lesson that we have learned during these times, that we actually can do with less. I hate to admit it, but it's true. We all can do with so much less, but at the same time, not compromising on, as far as Raison is concerned, not compromising on anything, whether it's the quality or the design aspect of it. And of course, today I find clients are far more patient than they ever were. I'm doing up this client's home, and it's this gigantic home, and I'm putting so much of Raison in it, and we do a lot of customization. But everyone is so patient now, which is amazing.
We need to wrap up. I wish we had more time. There were a few more questions I had, but maybe next time. Thank you all. You've been, wonderful panelists, and thank you for participating in this webinar. And I hope to see you again. Till then, stay safe. Goodbye.
That indeed was a fantastic panel discussion on design talk, form, function, and comfort. Well, I really don't have much to say in summary because the testimony of how wonderful this discussion was, how insightful and rich this discussion was, is the fact that we had, 8 to 10 questions and probably more questions that couldn't be answered. So that is testimony to how wonderful and rich this discussion was. Thank you, Gaurav, Kalyani, Kohelika, Pavitra, and Rishad for taking time off and participating with us at this webinar. In this panel discussion, we wish you and your respective organizations the very best going forward. And thank you, Debian, for doing a fantastic job of moderating this panel. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, do join the conversation on Twitter and other social media platforms using the hashtag ETAND, along with the hashtag ETUnwired. Do stay tuned in. We will be back on the other side in a few minutes from now.
We have a distinct attitude. It determines our thinking. It is the driving force which compels us to continually develop new visions, beginning with the finest materials, traditional methods, and the most innovative technologies, in collaboration with the world's best designers. Resulting in cutting-edge products. Our attitude reveals itself in every detail. Perfect in form and in function. In a class of their own. We share this attitude with our discerning customers. For them, we make no compromise. In every one of our avant-garde products. In every version. In every customization. In perfection. Form follows perfection. Oxor.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we move on to our second panel discussion of the day, titled Smart Home Solutions in India 2021 and Beyond. And it's an honor and pleasure to welcome the members of this far-packed panel. We have Madhav Seth, VP and CEO, Realme India and Europe; Vikram Kher, VP Lifestyle Audio, Harman International; Prashant Dhar, Director Marketing, AO Smith India; and Hardesh Chojer, Senior Director, Brand Marketing, R&D and Exports, Frank Faber India Limited. This panel will be moderated by Tom Joseph, President, Tuya India. Tom, over to you.
Thank you everybody. Warm welcome to all the participants, panelists, as well as the people who joined us on this virtual event. I'm Tom Joseph, as already mentioned by Ivan. We are discussing a very interesting subject today, which is smart home solutions 2021 for India. And I think, looking at the current situation with the pandemic and all the other things which are around us, this is a subject which is gaining a lot of attention across the generations. Normally technology as a subject is something which generally attracts the Gen Y, Gen Z, or the millennials. But there is a generation of people who are getting a lot of interest around the topic of smart home solutions. Just to put a little perspective on how this whole market is unfolding, I'll just share a little bit of statistics before I start the discussion with our panelists here. The smart home market is expected to grow at an average of about 23% on an annual basis, touching a turnover of about $9 billion by 2025 in the India market, which is going to change the penetration levels also from the current level of about 5% to about 13% by 2025. Which is going to throw open a huge lot of interesting solutions and opportunities, both for the people who are getting into this space, as well as it's going to be a very exciting time for the consumers who want to acquire and get into this space and experience this huge technology upgrade in their lifestyles. So having said that, I will just take this discussion forward with the panelists on board today. I'll ask my first question to Madhav. Hi Madhav, welcome on board. As per you, with the increase in the smart home categories and the excitement that we see in the smart home devices, what do you think which will be the main category which will attract a lot of interest and attention from the customer, and why do you feel so?
Thank you very much, first of all, Tom, for hosting me over here, and Edie, thank you very much for having me on this panel. I'm extremely privileged. So going back to your question, that which is the category do you think that it would be very attractive the post-pandemic, or what do you think about the future of the smart homes? First of all, I'd like to start with that basically smart homes is going to be the future of connected devices, which is really catching up really fast. I think while you were talking about the Indian market, US market, I was just studying about the US market. US market by 2022, the 60% of the smart homes will go or transform towards smart, which is going to be the industry size of 130 billion or size or something like that. And India, I think, is going to be much faster in catching up this particular things. So by saying this, what I want to drive the attention toward for all the viewers is it is all about not just about the connecting devices. It is also about how we as a manufacturer anticipate the needs of the consumers, how we analyze their user behaviors, and that is going to change the future of connected devices. So by saying this, I think we would need, as a manufacturer, we would need that basically any product, whatever we launch, it has to be not just an innovation which cannot be useful. It has to be novel as well. It has to be useful. By saying this, what does it really mean? That it has to be a match the parameters of novel and useful both, but it cannot be just novel and without any use. Like I'll say, basically, if I have to think about it, the most important product which I see the post pandemic or near the future, which is readily available, are like smart TVs in the smarter homes, because I think more of the OTT contents, and I think this type of content absorber within the industry has more happening in the home, on the phone, and on your bigger screens. So I think smart speakers, smart audio, smart TVs, I think has become one of the most important need at any home at this point of time, and is constantly expanding. So yeah, I think the future is going to be really bright for smart homes for sure.
Interesting. Nice to know that. And how do you foresee the future of the connected devices for smart homes in India?
uh, it's going to be amazing. If I have to just add on to my part, because I can end up the conversation but just by me speaking up, because I really love tech, and the innovations is something which I really can speak on for hours and hours. But just to give you a brief idea about it, because I would like to give some time for my other panelist friends to speak upon. But I think within next 10 years, I think things will completely change. As I said, the connected future devices is all about anticipating the needs of the users. And how does that mean? Is that basically, I'll give a very small examples, a few examples where your viewers can understand. Like I'm entering a home, my sensors can understand the mood, and they can adjust the lights of the room, they can adjust the music of the room automatically without even I controlling it or I deciding it. I open the fridge, I pick up the food, I can understand how much calories I have already taken up, and how which food would be there. So I think that's going to be a completely different change of health care. Then I have my mini microphones around home where I can have a voice assist and I can control my homes everywhere. I'm going for a shower, and my shower panel knows that basically the outside temperature is about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and I would love to shower in 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I would love to shower at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. As soon as I touch the shower panel, I think the shower panel immediately signals up my pharmacist on my health conditions, and he immediately delivers the medicines at my door. So I think these are the type of the innovations which I see, apart from what the electric cars, but electric cars charged by the solar panels on a roof. I've also read about one of the latest one, which I think a lot of women would love to have it. Is like about computer graphics company Nvidia. I think is working on some smart robotic arm that can act as owner's personal chef, doing everything from slicing and dicing of vegetables and cleaning up, which is not only good for the woman but also for the busy parents and as well as for the disabled users. So I think what I think is going to be completely makeover of things with 5G coming into the picture. I think and host of these connected devices launching up. I think entire scenario for IoT or IoT is going to be moved from what the conventional is today to completely smart homes with the internet of things and multiple aspects. So I think thanks to the advancements in artificial intelligence, the smartest home will be able to truly learn about their owners and the occupants, helping to turn the houses of the future from a mere collection of gadgets and accessories into a truly smart homes. I think it will bring one of the host of convenience, ease of living, mobility, safety, a completely whole new tech lifestyle. That's what I think.
Great. I guess what we used to see in the movies is something which is going to become a reality very soon. So really nice, Madhav. Thanks for sharing the inputs from your side. I'll just now move on to my next panelist, which is Vikram. Hi, Vikram. I mean, you're part of the audio fraternity at Harman. So while we step into this post-pandemic society, the rising need for the smart devices, I think, is something which will be, very interesting for the consumers. So how do you ensure the adoption of these devices by the masses? What is it that you're trying to work on at your organization? Because smart speaker is, I think, interesting.
Thanks, Tom. It's a pretty interesting scenario and very interesting question also in this difficult but challenging scenario. I remember towards February and March, we were just thinking that how this pandemic is going to impact us. Will there be any major impact in business or the way consumers behave and so on? But let me tell you one thing. Every adverse situation opens multiple doors or windows of opportunities for all businesses. And we've been seeing it happening in last 6 months. Believe you me, with pandemic, as all of us know, most of us are working from home, students are studying from home. There is no social community entertainment viewing opportunity through theaters or events. So what's happening is that more and more users have started using devices, audio devices, be it speaker, be it headphones or sound bars, right? So there is increase in number of users. There is increase in usage per hour per user. Okay, and very interestingly, we are seeing a sort of counterintuitive trend from consumer behavior that more and more consumers are becoming quality oriented. They are willing to spend money on products which can give them high quality or high quality audio or features like smart devices, smart speakers, smart headphones. Okay, so we've been observing that if I have to talk about my product category in audio business, the sales of smart speakers which are integrated with Alexa or for that matter Google voice assistant, sound bars, for example Harman Citation, which is a high SP product, Google enabled, the numbers are skyrocketing. We have launched a very premium product called JBL Soundbar 9.1, which is having inbuilt Wi-Fi, inbuilt Chromecast. Again, the general thought process was during pandemic, will it really sell? Will consumers will be willing to spend so much money on these products? But the heartening fact is more and more consumers are opting for premium products which are offering them smart audio capabilities, and they are willing to spend money on this. Even a simple product like headphone, because the utility has increased big time. Okay, the live series headphone of JBL are having features integrated. They are integrated with Alexa or Google Assistant. So with a tap on the headphone, without really touching your smartphone, you can hear your preferred music, you can hear news or do whatever you want. I believe that pandemic has helped consumers to go for or to experiment with these kind of products, to increase the usage of these products into large number of population. What we are doing, we are focusing on affordability. Okay, so affordability through no cost EMIs or some other products, easy installments, is going to take these high technology products like Citation 9.1 live series headphones to larger number of consumers. Okay, and because consumers are sitting at home, they are willing to experiment with technology. Okay, so I'm of the firm belief that this pandemic is going to help multiple product categories into getting consumers in new technology products, and this is what we are seeing.
Interesting. The other thing which was, which thought or a question we had in mind was the smart audio also has a very integrated application to integrate devices beyond audios, like lighting industry or fan industry or the other large appliances are also working very closely to integrate these smart services through a voice-enabled service. So,
exactly.
Any thoughts from your side? How do you think that the smart audio will fit into the overall smart home category per se? I mean, is someone trying to work around that, or do you feel there is an opportunity there today? Probably, Amazon Echo or something are the solutions which are there, who accept commands. So, do you see something from your side happening in that space?
So, Tom, Harman believes that smart audio or smart speakers are going to be the backbone for any smart home application. Okay, for the last couple of years, and not recent, for last 3-4 years, we have been investing top R&D dollars, okay, to ensure that voice technology gets integrated with our products, which are offering a superior world-class sound quality. So voice technology with Harman's competency of superior sound quality will help consumers to explore multiple use cases. Use cases which probably Madha also mentioned a couple of minutes back.
Right.
Now we don't need to hold the device. It's going to be hands-free world. Okay, right. And voice is going to drive various applications, be it switching on your television set, or maybe reducing temperature of your AC, or maybe giving instructions to your cars. Multiple opportunities will be coming up. I'm pretty sure some of the panelists, and I can see a list of panelists who are from appliance world. This is going to change the game for consumers in a big way. So voice technology plus sound plus multiple use cases in various appliances is going to take the consumer experience to the next level accordingly. We are pretty bullish about it.
Great. I'm remembering, Captain Kirk from Star Trek, where he used to give away voice commands, which was, which used to look very, very superficial and ahead of its time way back in the 80s. And I think all of us are seeing that as a reality coming forward in today's world.
Yeah, and the heartening part is we are seeing that despite adverse conditions, consumers are willing to experiment with products with new features, smart audio features, and all those things. That's super exciting.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vikram. I now move on to Prashant. Hi, Prashant. You're part of the AOSmith team in India, and there's an increasing need for leveraging emerging technologies such as AI and IoT for successful deployment of the smart home solution. So, how is your organization coping up with this kind of requirement?
So, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be here in this esteemed panel. So the way that I believe home automation and AI is basically about, life simplification. These are the tools that are, making our lives easy and simple, right? And that is what was echoed by also Madhav when he was talking about, having a deep immersion of the consumer needs, right? I think we all know as marketers that we need to understand our consumers better, and we need to understand and we need to interpret their unmet needs in the right manner to provide them the kind of features that we would like them to use our products for. So, the basics remains the same, and the key to success is obviously about the consumer immersion. And the second is also to look across your categories to understand how you can, imbibe the developments or the advancements that are happening in other categories into your product segments where you are operating in. So in terms of let's take, water heaters that AOSmith operates in. As a category, which is typically a category which is quite, a category which I will classify as something which is not very interactive from a consumer point of view. Because typically when you buy a water heater, you install it in your bathroom and then you forget about it. And there's only one, plug, one switch which is there, which you switch on and you switch off. So that is one, struggle that the category has. So this home automation and AI gives a wonderful opportunity to, turn this problem into a great opportunity, So wherein you can make the product usage more relevant to the consumers. Now, I will give you some perspectives. For example, a water heater takes around half an hour to 45 minutes to heat the water at the ambient temperature at which you can take bath. And for that, for example, if you are outside your home, you can easily program your water heater to a certain temperature, and then when you are back home in half an hour, 45 minutes, and you can take bath. So that is one way in which it can be helpful. Secondly, about the energy consumption. In this category, the energy consumption is huge. And hence, if you are able to monitor the way the energy is being consumed, is another way in which you can, you can look at using this, the automation bit to understand and then reduce or optimize your energy consumption. Then apart from, bathing, there are other hot water usages, right? So there are utilities like washing clothes through warm water, or mopping your house through warm water. So you can actually create modes which can help you to, to extend the usage of the category, which is typically because of the lack of interactivity of the product. It's not being done right now. Then, of course, there are things like the safety aspect of the water heater, wherein if the water heater is faulty, there is an automated alert which goes to the CRM machine, wherein the call center gets the updates about the product. The last but not the least, I think it gives a very beautiful insight in terms of understanding the consumer, usage pattern of your product, because you understand what kind of volumes of water are being consumed, volumes of hot water that are being consumed. Are they being consumed in morning or evening? What are the different types of modes that are being used for the usage of hot water? And in fact, it throws out possibilities to do further product innovations in the category. So I think that is the way that I am looking at this, both home automation and artificial intelligence as a package to extend become the product as a self-extension of the consumer. I think that's what I'm that's how I would like to relate this with my category.
Great. I think some interesting insights into the water heater category. In terms of the otherwise long-term vision of your organization towards smart home, any thoughts from your side beyond?
Yes, of course. I mean, we have both water purifier and water heaters, wherein we would like to. We are right now investing our resources in terms of development of again the need-based kind of innovations to use in both the products. In fact, some kind of an integration between the two product categories where we are operating in, wherein one single interface helps you to talk to both the products and enhance the usage of your both the categories within the household segment. So the developments that we are looking specifically in both the product categories at a premium end is completely focused towards home automation and AI. So that's what I can share.
Right. Thanks, Prashant. I think very interesting insight into what your company is into. I'll move my questions now to Mr. Hardesh. Hi, Hardesh. Since you are from the R&D space, I think what we want to understand is when you shift from a smart home portfolio, there are certain actionable points which must be considered. So it would be nice if we could know what exactly are the checklists from your organization perspective.
So good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. So it was interesting to hear all the points coming from the previous panelists about smart home and the way I think the future looks with more intelligence coming into the home. So I think the appliance context is a slightly different one because like Prashant said, I think we are primarily at the back end of the house. So we are not so much at the forefront of anything that is happening in the house. All the action is happening in front of us. We are possibly in the background doing our thing without causing a lot of fuss. So as a result, what happens is that in an appliance context, the meaning or the implication of smart is sort of slightly, I think, deviated, so to say. And so when I say so in our context, so if I were to say that what would smart mean in our appliance context, I would say that so we look at smart in three primary domains. So the first domain would be that is there a way that I can build intelligence or anything into the product which can help me reduce the time and effort for the user. So that's the first domain in which I have to evaluate whether smart makes sense. The other one is which is the big one, and I think that's where we are trying we are now seeing some meaningful innovations coming in, which is that is there a way that introduction of intelligence into the appliance can lead to a enhanced core category performance. So there are multiple examples now in this domain. Maybe I'll talk about a couple of them. And then the interesting one is that these days we have now started seeing that intelligence coming into making sure that the appliances safety is enhanced. So which means that now appliances are becoming safer because now there are sensors which now are sensing the temperature rise in the motors and the pumps which are there in the product, so as to warn the users, cut off the machines, and so on. So there are multiple examples now. And finally, the big one, I think, why it's so the reason why smart actually came in as a big concept a few years back was all about resource efficiency. So it's because of this whole climate change and the whole aspect about going green. So is there a way that we can make the appliance run in a much more in a more efficient way so that there is less burden on the planet? There are multiple examples. So say, for example, in the of the multiple products that we operate in, so we are right now looking at how can we make say the hood convert a hood into a smart hood. So in our definition of it, it would have sensors which sense the smoke, so turns on the machine. If the temperature goes up, there's a temperature sensor which just senses whether the temperature in say a 2 square feet kind of an area is significantly enhanced. It automatically cuts off the machine, stuff like that. So there are all these innovations which are already happening. Having said that, I think we are so while the future might be good. In fact, I was reflecting as the other panelists were speaking. So I was just in my mind that so I was doing a simple, a very basic calculation, and what percentage of my portfolio, what percentage of my business is coming from appliances which can be sort of termed smart. So so we are at so in our product portfolio we are just about at 1.5% of our business coming from smart appliances or anything that can be called with saying enhanced intelligence. So and why is the reason? So when I say a checklist of what we can do and what stops us from doing it, or say maybe where is it that we are lacking? So primarily, I think first of all it's the infrastructure. So we don't have the wherewithal, we don't have the width of availability of resource, in the sense that even if I were to do it, there is no critical mass to do it. We lack the resource to get into it in a big way. Then other issues, there are user related issues. So that the things like awareness. So basic user right now doesn't care much about things like enhanced safety, etc. So so it will come, the awareness will come, but it will take a lot of time. And finally, the cost. So when I'm preparing a checklist, the first thing that I would look at is what is the cost that I have to put in the product to get this innovation going. So if you look at all these things together, so the domains in which the appliance operate and the things which help us, which are sort of impediment to getting there, I think all in all it's something which I think is at a very nascent stage starting now. But I think it's a long way to go, for at least for the appliance business. I think it's going to take another 10-15 years before we see smart having a meaningful impact on our business.
So there is again interesting insights. We hear of smart. There are certain who put out their defenses. It must be a big luxury. Whereas situation has reached where people feel that smart has almost become a necessity in the current situation. Any thoughts from your side on that?
Sure. So necessity versus luxury, I think it's a good debate. And say so when I sit in my chair and say when I look at myself as an R&D leader or when as a marketer, so I have to first evaluate that what exactly would be a necessity and what would essentially be classified as a luxury. So to me, I think there are these three big headlines. So one would obviously be that so when I say I'm going to introduce intelligence into the product, so what is the value that it lends to the life of the user? So that's the So that's the primary consideration. So now, so if the and that aspect when considered, I think is likely to determine the rate of adoption, which means that what is the likely rate at which the user is likely to experiment with my product. The other interesting aspect, I think smart as a concept, I think it's not just about not just about integrating into the product and just letting it out, because I think with smart there comes a change in the user habit, user behavior as well. So it's not business as usual like it was before. There is a way that the user is also supposed to behave or interact with the appliance differently. So so it's also an understanding whether the user is willing to make that change at this point in time, whether it is compelling enough for the user to be making that change. And finally, I think is the cost of entry. So so we have already seen that meaningful innovation, if done in a good way, I think can lead to explosive results. So especially if you look at smartwatches, you look at smartphones, you look at categories, even you look at now it's meaningfully coming into smart televisions. Now smart televisions are exploding in high triple digit growth. So it depends on these three aspects. So which is the value that it adds to the life of the consumer, what is the degree of change that is expected from the user, and what is the cost of entry. So if all three are aligned, it can generate pretty explosive results. But if all three are not, so if you have one variable or two variables not in line with each other, and I have seen a lot in appliances where the expectation was the user to be behaving completely differently, it fails miserably. So all in all, if I were to say that smart home is the next reality, I think it is no more a luxury. It's something that is facing us. I think it's likely to be coming. So maybe a couple of years down the line, few appliances, but largely in the home space, I think another 3, 4, 5 years, we would be seeing the adoption moving to around 10%, maybe early double digits. So so while it might be a luxury right now, but I think couple of years down the line, I think marketers would not be able to afford ignoring it anymore. So it's likely to become a necessity as we go along the innovation journey.
Great having this insight. I think that more or less kind of brings us towards the end of our discussion. There are a couple of questions from our viewers. I think one of them is for Madhav. I'll just read out the question for you, Madhav, if you'd like to take this. It's from one of our viewers who are seeing us right now. What kind of smart devices do you foresee coming into play, not only in our homes, but also our public places?
I think a very interesting question. I think the immediate things what we can foresee right now is like smart sensors, where they can detect your emotions, they can understand your needs, and I think that would be the next big thing. Along with I think smart TV, smart audio, smart speakers. I think that's something which is now a part of our daily life, and now it's been growing like other members said that it's been growing in double digit or triple digits. But I think apart from this, smart categories at home, I think anything around you which is conventional within next 5 years will move to smart. That's what I can say.
Great. So I think smart is the way forward, and I think being smart is what's going to probably take us out from whatever situations are. And I think there's a general saying that smart tides you over all the troubles that we have.
There's a reason behind it, but I would say the reason is just because of the convenience. It understands the user behavior pattern. It gives you more, in a way of communicating that you have to ease up your life in a much better way. So I think it's more about the convenience. And I think India being the millennial population, highest millennial population in the world, I think this will be we should be an early adopters of all these smart technologies. That's what I believe.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I think the way things are rolling out in the market, when we see consumer experiences, they're very happy to adapt, and the adaptability is much faster than we anticipate as far as upgrading and getting themselves involved to the smart devices. So with that, I think we come to an end to our discussion. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I also thank all the viewers who have taken their time out and be a part of this discussion. Wishing all of you a great season of good wishes which are coming through, which is the Happy New Year 2021 going beyond. And I hope you have a great day today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was indeed a fantastic panel discussion on smart home solutions in India 2021 and beyond. Thank you, Madhav, Vikram, Prashant, and Hardesh for your insights, and we wish you and your respective organizations the very best going forward. And also a big thanks to Tom Joseph for moderating this panel. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned in. We will be back with you in a few minutes from now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We now move on to the next session where Ashish Behar, lead architect, plus experienced designer faculty, Philips Lighting Academy, will be in conversation with Gayatri Shetty, Honorary Joint Secretary, Triple ID, on a subject titled Sustainable Innovation, Lighting Beyond Illumination. Gayatri, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Ivan. Hi, Ashish. It's a great pleasure to be here on this platform and have this conversation with you. I think it's going to be fun, and talking about innovation is always something that excites us as architects. And talking about the buzzword of sustainability is anyway always there. So I think what I would like to start off with, Ashish, is that, as architects, we do so many different kinds of projects, and right from, small homes to, mega projects, whether they are, campuses or they are, malls and things like that, whether it's in hospitality, corporate sector. So I just wanted to say that, we do look at all these very, very systematically, talking about sustainability, talking about, various services that come in, and lighting being, one of the key areas. I thought we should, definitely have a chat talking about the, the innovative things that are coming up. I hear that there are multiple things that you would, talk about from Philips. And I wanted you to kind of just give like a brief discussion before we get into other conversations.
Yeah, okay. So hi, Gayatri, and welcome all. Thank you for starting on that note. You see, innovation and sustainability go hand in glove, very, very clearly. So and as an organization, I represent, like already mentioned, Signify, which was erstwhile called Philips Lighting. And it's something very, very, very core to us, actually. So
Oops, what happened? You're on mute, Ashish. Yeah. Again on mute.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sorry, something may have gone wrong. So I was just saying that, you see, innovation and sustainability are something that go very core with us as an organization. You see, as a, sustainability is something which, while we, sort of as part of our offerings, it is something which sort of adds to sustainability, lighting and technologies per se. As an organization, also something we are very, very committed, to the fact of sustainability, actually, to the agenda of sustainability. Believe you me when I tell you, Signify is actually already a carbon neutral company as of September 2020. So we've been aiming for this, plateau, so to speak, for quite a few years. And now I think the next thing is to go, carbon positive for that matter. So we actually want to go, go to the next level, basically, going forward. As part of innovation, like I said, goes without saying that, and you'll be surprised when I tell you that lighting is one of the things that we do. And and as we were discussing, even earlier also, that it's something beyond which that we have gone on. So we call it actually lighting beyond illumination. We've sort of strayed towards the fact that lighting cannot deliver internet. You can actually 3D print a luminaire, or else lighting can help you and kill germs. We are dealing with the pandemic today. It's actually wonderful when I'm telling you that you can actually disinfect spaces, objects with light, which is actually cheap, which is actually safe relatively compared to the chemicals that we use. Of course, not so good for human beings if they come in direct contact. But then the fact remains that there are quite a few other possibilities that light gives you today. So that's on the innovation axis I'd like to just highlight there. Yeah.
So I wanted to, check these things, one at a time. One is, of course, you mentioned 3D printing of luminaires. And I think that sounds like extreme fun because, depending on the kind of, project you're thinking, we love to, work with a concept that goes through and through in a project, and working with architecture, working with interiors, bringing in product design and all of it into the project, which is customized, sounds, like an ideal situation. So this 3D luminaire, can you just throw some light, Ashish, on that?
Yeah, I think, the 3D luminaire are all about light, interestingly. No, but that's that's a pun. But the fact remains, you see, there are two birds that we kill with the same time. You see, as architects, you would, and as practice architects, you really want to innovate every project. You really want to do something new every time. Now, because it's a catalog run show, normally, you obviously have this better, the boundaries of working within catalogs of suppliers and vendors like us. 3D printing brings, opens that world, where you can play around, basically, right? So that's one from a customer centricity perspective that we are aiming for. The second, which is equally important for us, is the fact that we're using polycarbonate and we are making monolith luminaire, which means there won't be any screws, there won't be any. So it's printed, right? It's a 3D printed luminaire, and it has a possibility to get recycled later. Right, so we really want to do a circular economy example by setting this up, as an, for the industry, actually, for the rest of the industries as well as rest of the building industry. That look, luminaire can be recycled. At least the polycarbonate part, of course, the lid part or the lamp part can definitely be replaced because there's an end of life. But then the fact remains, we are not throwing back something to Mother Earth, right? We are actually reusing that waste again and again, and while giving the joy part, the fun part to designers and the proud owners. So there are both ways you can actually, so for designers like you, and even for clients, direct clients, they can also go online, almost, customize their luminaire online and then order it. That's going to be as simple as that. It's actually going to be fun.
So what is the customization that's possible in terms of color, shape? Can it really, if I would like to kind of, let it merge, say, with with the wall or the ceiling, or maybe in between the wall and the ceiling, and create all these interesting aspects. Would these be things that are possible?
Well, yes. So this basically means that there is of course, the kind of shapes that you will get will immense. So you can't really go for a bespoke shape, but there are quite a few interesting shape within a certain size limit because the machine has some limits. But you do get the option of having textures inside, outside. So there are multiple layers to a luminaire, right, or a lamp, or an aesthetic aspect of things. So you can have multiple textures, multiple colors, various sizes, and various designs. So I think that's quite a lot to do with. Of course, we can't really promise a very strange looking new animal, or so to speak, but that'd be too difficult. But for sure, the word opens up for you and also for our clients ahead that, you can actually go online and just make your luminaire and have it printed and sent home, basically. That will be like like doing an Amazon of lighting for that matter.
Yeah. So, while we were speaking earlier, we were talking about what else you can do with lighting.
All right. So some interesting things. One, for example, one thought that we've chased quite a lot now is what is called human-centric lighting, which means that the fact that the smart lighting or Internet of Things enables you or us to actually customize our light environments just by touch of a button or talking to it through an app. So there are quite, we do have this thing called the Hue. You must have seen it in the newspapers and the televisions, but it's not just a lamp for that matter. It's actually a huge platform. It's a huge family. which with a lot of interesting automation or customization possibility can actually make you if you really want to dance to a disc, we're going to make your room a discotheque. You can actually sort of replicate what's happening on your television, so it actually gives you a theater experience. You want to mix it with music, it can actually wake you up in the morning, that it can actually give you natural light kind of variation.
Set an alarm.
Absolutely. So it's actually like, something which syncs with your life and lifestyle in a manner, which is why we call it a human-centric approach, actually. So you see, we live in a tropical country. Our lives run around the sun very clearly, wherever we are geographically, of course. So we are customized to a certain kind of intensity, color, direction of light. We can actually look out of the window and tell the time. But when we sit inside our spaces, we sit under those monotonous single color, single location, single intensity light. Now, that's where we wanted to break the barrier, and that's where Hue and the family comes in, which can talk to your Alexas, which can talk to your Google Homes and other platforms, which becomes a very interesting sort of possibility for our clients, for you offering, because you see, you cannot change your textures and colors of the room often, but with light you can actually change the environment. I think that's the easiest thing to happen, and it's very customer centric. And it's actually much more fun than probably 3D printing as well, because it changes every moment. You can make it dance.
So this gave me a thought, especially when you said that, and in India, we have so much of a tropical climate, and most of the year, especially, in 75% of the country, during summers, it just gets really warm, right? Now, what I wanted to ask you was, with light and the effect of light, can really people feel cooler? You know that when you go out, when you look out, you know what time of the day it is, right? So if it's like dusk or really early morning and things like that. So it's a perceived thing, of course. Absolutely. It's not as if temperatures really, reduce or anything like that. But is there something that you are looking at, which would really have something as exciting as this?
You rightly said, Gayatri, that it's a perceived thing. Cool for you and cool for me may be very different. I'm sitting in Delhi. I'm sitting at 11-degree temperature right now, shivering to my bones. For me, cool means very different things. So exactly. So I think the fact remains that, like you said, perceived. Of course, there are cooler colors and there are warmer color shades, and and there is a huge palette one can pick up from. So that's where. So with 16 million colors in a hue, for that matter, you change. It's like Mera Wala blue or Mera Wala green. You can choose your Mera Wala white, for that matter. So there are million of possibilities of having fun and making it your own. The customization part with the power of Internet of Things, and to be able to speak to it. You tell Alexa, I want this particular color, or you click a picture. I said, I want this wala green. It's as simple as that. It's very user friendly, and so this becomes like a fun element, plus also more human centric, because when we work under the our best moments are, we feel the healthiest under the sun, or with the the colors that the sun gives us. If we can replicate it within our homes and workspaces, we are at our healthiest best. You see, our health and well-being goes in the right direction. So that's what we promote, and that's what where technologies also help, because earlier it was just switch on and switch off kind of technology. Now a possibility to talk to it, and it being able to change lights or frequency at which it runs is available now. So the combination is there, and that's where the fun begins, and that's where the story begins. Yeah.
No, but Ashish, I still want to go back to that, because previously, before the LEDs came into the market, we had a problem of heat gain, with certain amount of lights and things like that. So to me, it still seems like there's that little possibility and innovation that maybe Philips can research or do whatever to kind of take that, the heat part of it. We of course are looking at the color and all of it, but
So I can answer that. You see, there is a when you said heat can also be, so heat is a function of any particular wavelength and the light emits. So that can also be replicated. Although like you said, we need a business case to people should be asking for that. But on that point, I'd like to also mention that what I was telling you earlier about the possibility of light being able to kill the virus and the germs. You see, and that's where the heat part or the intensity part comes in. So just wanted to sort of introduce or reintroduce to you that there's a particular wavelength which is called UVC, the ultraviolet rays, a particular wavelength which is there through which we work with the Boston University, and this was about 6 odd months back. That kept in a condition, lab condition, it could kill the coronavirus, the SARS-CoV-2, that's what it is called, in about 9 to 10 seconds. It could kill germs and viruses on surfaces of objects, spaces in a very limited time, which is much better than using chemicals which also pollute our indoor air quality. So that's one thing which I also like to put forth, that light as a new usage as your fight against the virus, which is which is a huge problem today. So we have a lot of these oven like boxes, from small to very large, from home usage to actually commercial usage. You can put it in front of the airports, malls, and also keep few at homes, depending on different sizes, where if you expose your let's say keychains and wallets and laptops inside, even for that matter vegetables and fruits as well, so you can disinfect them after 2-3 minutes of exposure. So of course it's carcinogenic in nature, so I would not recommend human beings to go under that. So it can be harmful to us, our skins and whatnot. So in long run it can also cause cancer. So that's where, so if you use the higher intensities of light, it can actually help kill germs. And in offices, for that matter, you can actually keep these systems which switches off when there's a movement. So if there is no human presence, it is switched on, so it sort of disinfect your workspaces, because people are, you sit in Bangalore, there's a huge workforce working from home. So if people want to call them back to work, you need to disinfect spaces on a regular basis, right? And you can't have chemicals in offices every day.
Yeah.
So light is actually, yeah.
No, I was just going to say that there's a huge advantage there, because today, especially when it comes to schools and colleges and entertainment spaces, cinema, theaters, wherever, there is this huge concern. And if there's a turnaround that can happen between occupation, of that space in a matter of, whether it's minutes or maybe an
It's
hour
minutes.
or so.
10 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes or 20 minutes max, that's all. So let's say if cinema halls is a rotation happening, you can have a 10-minute window of letting these lights on, disinfecting spaces, and then you can have the next batch in. Why not? Definitely.
So I mean, that's a huge comfort, isn't it? Otherwise, for people who, want to come in, I'm sure their main concern really would be, how this would really, play upon their own health and as well as psyche. Because, like say somebody wants to go out somewhere, you're always considering the health aspect of it. And even if it is after Corona times, you're looking at a healthy environment. So I think that really sounds like a great
true that. So
innovation.
yeah, another very interesting one I wanted to tell you was that you can now transmit data through light. Okay, so you can actually access internet through light, like your Wi-Fi. You can actually have Li-Fi. So the initial thing that I was mentioning about using lighting for uses beyond illumination, there's quite a research in all directions. It's actually an infrastructure which is available throughout. You go to any habitable space, you will find light, right? So artificial light, for that matter. So I think the fact remains that if you make it smarter, and making it, take a lot of load of infrastructure, I think there's a magic that is waiting for us. So, smart cities, smart homes, smart offices, and smart all kind of spaces which are talking to human beings, which was not possible earlier. So this sort of creates a very different environment for the users and brings a lot of possibilities of maintaining and operating such installations. So as I was telling about Li-Fi, you can actually draw internet to a speed of about 150 to 250 Mbps, which is also not normally the case in normal. And Wi-Fi is normally give you maximum of 100. Whereas light is definitely faster and it's uninterrupted. And secondly, it's safe because as soon as you step away from the light, the excess of internet is gone, which means whatever data is there, you can actually use it in spaces where data is of great importance. There should not be no theft in that data for that matter. And also it's fast. So 250 Mbps means you can run 2 Netflix movies at the same time, if that's what I mean. So of course you don't want to watch that, but just saying that's the kind of speed we're talking about. And light, so this was actually a TED video 4 years back, and now it's a commercial possibility. We are actually installing these in airplanes, in offices, in buses, of course, across the world, not only in India. So, in airplanes, how else will you get internet? There's no, Wi-Fi is a very difficult thing. So you put it on a person's head, the light transmits internet for that matter. So something's happening in Air France where we're working. So a lot of such new possibilities that, what I would say, light beyond illumination is happening.
So how soon is Li-Fi going to be
Li-Fi,
yeah. How soon is it going to be? I mean, is it going to be out in the market soon?
No, it is. Why I'm telling you that it's already here. So Li-Fi we've already installed in India, abroad, everywhere actually. So Li-Fi, for that matter, if I tell you, is already in a couple of. In fact, there's an office in Bangalore which we've already. So it's already in your backyard. We've already installed
okay.
it.
So no, I mean, is it being marketed? To incorporate in their designs.
No, so yeah, it's a readily available technology. We can talk. You may not want to do it for the whole office, but you can probably do it for the boardroom, for that matter, or for your CEO of the company whose data is most important for not to be stolen, or you give it to your for an office, for example, to the guests who are coming in. Don't log into our network. Enjoy Li-Fi. So it's a showcase as well. Why not? So wireless communication is happening through light. That's the new thing, and light travels faster than many things. So of course, it's quite a novelty, therefore.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else you want to tell us about in terms of the innovations that are going on and what else is being planned?
No, so in a way, light is we're taking strides toward making from light being just an illumination story to light as a language. It's something through which you can communicate, expressions, impressions at a city level, at a personal home level. So from a home to a city, there are quite a few spaces. So facade lighting is another very interesting thing which is taking up. We're doing quite a few monument lighting. We recently finished the Howrah Bridge. You should look at it. So mammoth. Not only public sector but even private clients are also investing much in that. I think as a country we are a little underlit, so to speak. Only few metros are where where there's a lot of light, but then I think we need to have an equity of lighting across the country. So something we're investing is in solar lighting, for that matter, because it's something we would like to sort of show. It should reach the people who don't have any access, for that matter. So it should be so our intent is obviously to use technology to also excite our customers, while also make sure that it reaches the last mile as well. So I think the extent is pretty big, and likewise the carbon footprint is only growing smaller with that, because we're using natural sources, we're using so technology and innovation to your aid, and also your joy or exuberance, for that matter. So that's the direction we're taking.
Ashish, I mean, just to kind of take a couple of points what you mentioned. One is, of course, heritage buildings, which, something is really close to my heart as well. And it also, especially for a city like Bangalore, I think, there are so many buildings that we would love to kind of, light up as such, and would definitely get in touch with you and Philips to see whether we, along with IIID or with, the architect community, try and do something for the city. And it would be great to work something like this and showcase it, I would think, which can really happen across cities in the country. Of course, the other small thing that I want to just finally say is that, in Bangalore and all the streets, we have these wonderful trees with, but they tend to get really butchered when we have to have space for, all your electrical wiring and things like that to connect up for, the lighting that is there. So solar would really be something that would, leave the trees alone as well and, have light without an issue. So I'm hoping that would move forward.
Luminous trees is what you're looking for. Yes, the trees are illuminated by themselves. I mean, you dream of it. You see, I mean,
no, street lights. I'm talking about street lights.
Yeah. No, exactly. So one, of course, we have to tackle the problem from a sustainability perspective as well as a city beautification perspective.
Yes.
Let's look at the technology aspect. Definitely anything. See, that's where. So the architect community drives us towards this innovation. You make us think in directions which we've never thought of. So I think it's a good idea. Definitely we'll take it up separately. But on the monuments part, yes, I think we can definitely collaborate and look at a way of celebrating our heritage. Definitely, most happy to. Yeah.
Okay. So Philips has to become a corporate member first. So I want a word here of IID. Yeah. So I get in touch with you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for having me here, and it's been enjoyable. I enjoyed this chat.
Same, Gayatri. Thank you so much. Thank you, Triple ID. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
Ashish,
thanks.
for the wonderful insights that you shared on sustainable innovation in lighting beyond illumination. I think I learned so many things, and I'm sure, like you said, dream, and surely we can conceptualize things around lighting for you. Thank you so much, Gayatri, for the chat with Ashish. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we now move on to the most important segment of the day, which is the unveiling of the Economic Times Architecture and Design Best Brands of 2020-2021 Coffee Table Book, followed by the felicitation of the brand winners across 5 different categories. And so I first request Gauhar Khan, who really needs no introduction, to unveil the Coffee Table Book and to also say a few words. Gauhar, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I wish I were addressing you all in person, but the dramatic spread of COVID-19 has disrupted lives, livelihoods, communities, and business worldwide, creating the new normal that is so talked about. With recent rises in the number of high net worth individuals, higher disposable incomes, and changes in lifestyle, India has emerged as one of the fastest growing design-led architecture markets in the world, with luxury homes and hospitality forming the crux of the growth story. Given this, we live in an era where all intelligent brands are thinking global, fusing the best of global and the best of local. If we look around our marketplace today, we will find uniquely evolved Indian and international premium and luxury brands spanning across sectors. Having successfully covered brand stories in specific sectors such as BFSI, education, healthcare, FMCG, technology, lifestyle and luxury, entrepreneurs, and many more, the Economic Times now looks to unveil the most comprehensive study of leading brands from design-led architecture space by launching the Economic Times Architecture and Design Best Brands Coffee Table Book 2020. This coveted book will feature brands that have shown constant innovation and relatability based on their values, style of operation here, and the kind of influence they have on Indian consumers. Remember, as the market gets more seasoned, it is only the select few brands that will weather the tide. Brands with rich sensibilities and cultural codes which truly espouse a 360-degree approach to the values of luxury. This curation aspires to put on the map, celebrate, and eulogize design brands that have enriched India's economy and social development through their tireless contribution. Let's shine a spotlight on this galaxy of eminent indigenous brands that are going to be recognized for their sustained brilliance.
Thank you, Gawhar, for doing the honors and also for your kind and inspiring words. And yes, now is the moment you've all been waiting for. We will now felicitate the best brands of 2021 in the architecture and design domain across the following 5 categories. Global brand in the bath and sanitation category, lighting and switchgears category, made in India brand in the bath and sanitation category, home automation category, and the paints category. Gawhar, over to you once again, and please shine the light on the brand winners.
Developed with international renowned designers, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Hans Grohe.
Firstly, it's an honor for me to receive the ET Best Architecture and Design Brand Award for a global brand in the bath and sanitation category. On behalf of everyone at Hansgrohe India, I'd like to thank you for the honorable recognition. I take this opportunity to also speak a few words about Hansgrohe. Hansgrohe is a leading manufacturer of shower heads, shower systems, bathroom and kitchen faucets. The Hansgrohe Group markets its products under 2 brands. Axort, our luxury brand, which develops unique products and collections of the highest aesthetic and technical quality for luxury bathrooms and kitchens. We work in collaboration with distinguished architects and product designers including Philippe Starck, Antonio Citterio, and the Phoenix Design Group, and many other leading designers across the globe. The premium brand Hansgrohe delivers groundbreaking solutions for the bathroom and kitchen, merging outstanding design and long-lasting quality. Hansgrohe has been a pioneer in innovation and design in the bathroom space for 120 years. We strive to deliver human-centric water experiences that make you truly feel alive. It's a prestige to be associated with ET for this award, which recognizes the contribution of brands in their respective segments. Thank you very much.
As our lives become ever more restless, maybe it's time to ask ourselves, which moments in life are the most beautiful? At Hands Grow, we believe it's the moments with water. Because water is the essential to us in 1,000 ways every single day. We share it from our very first moments. At special times when we're together with our families and friends. With the ones we love. Or the times when we are simply by ourselves. That's why we do everything we can to make your moments with water as unique and precious as possible. Hands Grow. Meet the beauty of water.
A world leader in connected LED lighting systems, our next best brand is Signify.
It's a great honor to receive the Economic Times Best Architecture and Design Brand Award for the year 2020-2021 in the category of lighting and electrical switches. I accept this award on behalf of all my colleagues who innovate day in and day out and ensure that we remain in market leadership position in our category. I'd like to thank once again Economic Times for conferring us this award, and I'm sure it will go a long way to motivate all of us to continue to lead in our category. Thank you.
Up next, we have a market-leading Indian sanitary ware brand, HSIL.
I'm truly honored to receive this award from Economic Times today on behalf of Hindware for the best brand in the bath and sanitation category. Hindware's always been recognized for quality, wide product portfolio, and a very strong brand equity. A leader in the category, it has always been synonymous to innovation and expertise. Endowed with a legacy of consumer trust, Hindware's always been a preferred brand by millions of consumers. This recognition goes for the brand and for all the stakeholders associated with it. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Economic Times for this gesture. This truly is a great motivation for us to keep striving to take the brand to greater heights. Thank you.
Today, a touchdown of the way we live is more about how we live. Inside is where we build dreams and be inspired. Inside is a permanent place to reign and to rejuvenate. That's why we bring to you Briloka, a melting convergence of various verticals of innovation and taste. Customer satisfaction, product innovation and design thinking are the three pillars of brilliance on which Briloka is built on. The makers of the iconic brand Hindware, known for crafting exceptional bathing experiences and developing contemporary bathroom solutions. Briloka offers you bathroom solutions that are state-of-the-art and trendsetters. With a combination of unparalleled performance, smart technology and awe-inspiring designs, Hindware Italian collection meets the new age demands of hygiene. With the aesthetic confluences of European brilliance that mesmerizes each distinction, Huo stands out for you. A design flow articulated for a sense of exclusivity and to dazzle in minimalism, that's alchemy. Opening new horizons in the space of tiles, our avant-garde, futuristic brand Neom. Designed for aesthetics, functionality and durability, Benelave is the segment leader. There's TrueFlow plastic pipes and fittings to provide complete plumbing solutions. We at Briloka are constantly looking at the future and hence are committed to environment and sustainability. Briloka, new name, same values.
Our next brand is one of the most valued and trusted paint and coatings company. Give it up for Sheenlac Paints.
Sheenlac Paints. Our palette of products. Automotive paints and finishes. Wood coatings and finishes. Decorative paints. Ranked among the top 5 paint companies in India. Strategic joint venture with Jensen & Nicholson India Limited and Neuro Coatings, South Korea. Pioneering innovation. Sheenlac Paints.
Thank you. Up next is the solution and market leader for premium residential, automation and networking for the connected home market. Ladies and gentlemen, Control 4.
I take this opportunity to thank Economic Times Group for organizing this event, Architecture and Design Best Brands 2020. ET team, even in COVID times, helped architects and integrators from different industries to stay connected. We're happy and thankful to receive this award as the Best Home Automation Brand 2020 by ET. I have a robust interoperability, playing nicely with Indian brands, and integrator satisfaction has led us to reach this recognition. This definitely helps us to reiterate our commitments towards the architect and integrator community. SnapAV plus Control 4 works constantly in the field to offer unique superlative products and solutions. I thank everyone involved in this event for their support. Good day.
Living with smart devices isn't the same as living in a smart home. That's why you want a smart home operating system. A smart home operating system, or OS, connects all the devices in your home so they can be controlled together or separately from one place. So instead of having your phone operate a single function, like a wireless speaker, you can trigger entire scenes. A morning scene that turns on the news and opens window shades to bring in the light of a new day. Or maybe a good night scene that turns off every light, adjusts the thermostat, and locks the doors with the touch of a button. Individual apps just won't cut it. You need total control of your environment. A touchscreen that allows you to answer your front door as you're still getting ready. A voice command that turns on lights as you walk into a room. Or a remote that locks the doors and fires up the TV in time for movie night. With the Smart Home OS, you'll be able to use the devices you already love and use. Have an automated lock you love? Don't want to replace your ceiling fans? Love your big screen TV? You won't have to change your home to make it smart. Typically, more devices means more troubleshooting. But if they're managed by Smart Home Pro, you'll enjoy an orchestrated experience. Smart Home Pros are armed with years of experience and training to create the connected home of your dreams, even as your needs and desires change. and you can be sure that you are protected. After all, a safe home is a smart home. Experience how convenient and enjoyable it is to live with a smart home OS.
Well, we now come to the end of a very exciting day. It was certainly a pleasure being a part of this interesting initiative by the Economic Times. Allow me to sign off by congratulating all the brands that took center stage today one final time. Stay home, stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Gohar, for doing the honors. And once again, hearty congratulations to all the brands in the various categories that were felicitated today. I'd like to once again announce the names of the brands. Hansgrohe being the best brand in the bath and sanitation global brand category. Hinway, best brand in the bath and sanitation made in India brand category. Control 4, best brand in home automation, and Sheenlac Paints, best brand in paints. And last but not least, Signify being the best brand in the lighting and switchgears category. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of the Economic Times Architecture and Design Best Brands 2021, brought to you by ET Unwired. Once again, hearty congratulations to all the brands that were felicitated in the various categories. Also, a big thank you to all the speakers, the members of the panel, and the moderators of the panel for joining us at this virtual webinar. Thank you for joining in and making this a grand success. Just a reminder, before you leave for the day, kindly click on the feedback button and leave your comments and valuable feedback. It will not take more than a couple of minutes. Your feedback is important to us, and this will ensure our future webinars are just the way you want it next time around. Have a good afternoon, stay safe, and have a good weekend. And while it is still very early, I'd like to wish each of you, on behalf of the Economic Times, a happy Christmas. And hopefully and surely we will have a very happy 2021. God bless.